The details of what Sherrone Moore is accused of, also while being charged with breaking and entering without entering, home invasion in third degree, and stalking are coming out in his arraignment, as well as what the judge has told him he can and cannot do following this really important update on what has been going on with Sherrone Moore and what led to his firing at the University of Michigan. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do any of these details help you understand why Sherrone Moore was fired at the University of Michigan? And these details, I should say, are what are part of what prosecutors are using to charge him with, and alleged should be used with a lot of these, but what he is allegedly accused of is not pretty at all. We're going to try to go through these details and tell you what the court has allowed to be said. So start with the 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time court arraignment in Washington County. The court has received information about a complaint that was filed by the Washington County Prosecutor's Office. As soon as the court had the charging information, it was shared, right? So what it did was share home invasion, which is a felony, stalking, which is a misdemeanor, and then breaking and entering without entering, which is a misdemeanor. That catches us up to, if he's found guilty of those charges, Moore could face sentences totaling 6 years, 90 days, and or $3,500 in fines, according to court docs. Home invasion carries the harshest penalty of up to 5 years and $2,000. Stalking could be included probation up to 5 years. Sherrone Moore is accused of picking up butter knives at this person's house. This person, who we're going to say is a her, because that is what has been said, a her, at this person's house, and threatened his own life and threatened to make her watch. Moore's attorney has asked for bond. That's $25,000, 10%, which is the privilege. The judge told Sherrone Moore he can't consume alcohol or drugs, possess a gun, and must not leave Michigan without permission. He will be given a GPS tether on condition of his bond, and sets a probable cause conference for January 22nd of next year. Those are the details that we know to be true, and they are gory. I made the earlier segment trying to tell everybody, hey, he's been charged with a felony. He's been charged with these 2 misdemeanors. Here's what we think, and here's what this means to me. Now we know exactly why Michigan had to move as quickly as it did. As soon as you know it's trending in this direction, all you got to do is look at your conduct and code of policy, and then your cause for termination, and you are able to send Sherrone Moore on his way. And they did that. I am going to give them credit for that. That Michigan has been getting a lot of help because there have been lots of rumor about this sort of thing going on, this sort of thing being an investigation. I don't think that that's the rumor that needs to stick. I think it's obviously a person, a woman that Sherrone Moore felt comfortable with at one point, and she felt comfortable with him at one point. Breaking and entering without entering, I'll be an idiot here if I'm wrong, but it means to me that he had a form of getting into the house that did not mean he had to pick a lock or kick down a door, which usually means you got a key or a garage door opener or something, right? Some means of getting in that does not show signs of needing to kick the door in or getting in there unlawfully. I should say not unlawfully, getting in there in another unlawful way, right? That one's always kind of tricky. The other one is stalking, and stalking is harder to prove than you think, but it should be easy to prove to a reasonable person. Okay, so like if you look at what stalking is in most states and statutes, boyfriends that call excessively, girlfriends that call excessively, showing up to people's houses uninvited. Usually what happens here is it rises to the level of needing to call police, and then you get to file a police report. And if you file more than one police report, then yeah, okay, we could take some action here. But many people have been sought after when they don't want to be. As a matter of fact, I think this is also getting to a modern part of the relationships in men and women in 2025 that I'm going to speak to just a little bit. I'm a single black man with no children, right? Many of you have heard me make jokes about get this man a girlfriend. But more than that, I take so many pains to not try to overextend, right? So much so that in the past, and this has been ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, have also told me, I needed you to be just a little bit more aggressive. And I'm like, you're not going to get that from me. I'm going to need to get a really, really, really loud invitation that this is what you want from me. I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm a mama's son. I call older women and little girls, ma'am. That's just how I'm going to get down. The thing that also is upsetting about this is now that we know it's a her, now that we know he's in her house, now that we know that he threatened her life and his own with kitchen silverware and kitchen knives, my next thought was Sherrone Moore's married. He's got children. I got to the end of another segment, but that he's a walking, talking Black history fact, and he is. He is. And that's going to stay forever. You know, like that one hurts me. You know, for a man in Sherrone who said he doesn't see color, it's going to be hard to ignore it now, dog. It's going to be hard to ignore it now. On top of all of that, we have a guy who was supposed to be modeling behavior for um, student athletes, players who are going to be men who have children who get married one day, hopefully get married one day, and need to model what a good relationship should look like. This is all after you know these charges and how this ends for him. His attorney Joe Simon made a few brief comments, I think, to reporters, saying he's got that Sherrone will comply with all the mental health counseling, but didn't want to talk about the allegations and charges, which I get. I don't think any attorney in that spot would want to do it. It will be interesting to find out just how more comes out in the investigation from police. I don't know that you should be looking to Michigan to share a whole bunch of detail like the one that you just got from me and from the court in their investigation, but now they will add this to their investigation. And again, I made this point in an earlier segment. You have to question everything inside of your halls. You don't get to act like everything is okay. I mentioned Connor Stallions, and I realized that people are wanting to say that Matt Weiss was doing what he was doing before he got to Michigan. Yeah, but that's a guy you hired. That's a guy you hired. That's a guy who was there, all the way back to Bo Schembechler and that really loud case from 1968 to 2003. You got an interim president. You got a board of regents that's probably on fire, and you got an athletic director who gets to keep his job because you fire him. I think you lose so much more than you gain. But even he's going to have to, I think, have some really hard conversations with folks down the line. All these things matter. All these things matter. And the next guy that you hire to be your head coach has got to be basically Ed Straight Arrow Gennaro from Texas State in, from the Fighting Armadillos. For those of you who ain't seen Necessary Roughness, you should. But the impetus is the program was so dirty and so bad that they wanted to wipe away the football program completely. But in a state like Texas, that's a really difficult sell. What they ended up doing was saying, we're going to have a bunch of players that are not on scholarship that play football, which basically like having a D3 team would have been the way to go. But what they did was hold open tryouts and create a team that could just win a game, right? That's what they did. But the guy they hired to do that was the guy who would not allow his players to do anything that would besmirch their names, the university name, or his names. I think that, it's a movie, right? You can't actually help have that happen. But if you're looking for a person to just try to put your program back together, there are guys that can do that. Bill O'Brien was able to do that at Penn State, for instance. He's at Boston College. The next guy that you hire has to be that man, because right now, this is as hurting as any football program has been in the last 10 years for me. I mean, and by 10 years, I mean, no, not 10 years. Baylor. Yeah. We got to get a hold of ourselves, guys.